buckle up for another episode of Ghostfacers, a supernatural rewatch podcast. My name is Richard, and sitting shotgun as always is my brother in podcasting, Reed. Hey, today we're looking teary-eyed into the void and somehow mustering the strength to carry on and get back to my brothers. We're also joined by one of my favorite podcast guests and friends, Kyle Clark. He gets to talk about his first time watching Supernatural, jumping in at the beginning of season 2, so you're not going to want to miss what he says about the show.
Ghostfacers! We're facing ghosts, we're others, we're not, we're ghosts! Ghostfacers! Stay in the kitchen when the kitchen gets hot! Ghostfacers! We're facing nightmare, we're facing dread! Ghostfacers! We're facing faceless, we're facing dead!
Welcome to Ghostfacers. Today, we are joined by comedian, writer, and host of podcast This Is Rad and Everything Is Scary. I just am now realizing that this is rad, but everything is scary.
Yeah.
There's only a few things that are good, but everything is scary.
Blank is blank.
Yeah.
The real key is I had to start doing a uppercase I for the This Is Rad when I file code things, and a lowercase for EIS, because otherwise they look too similar at quick glance.
That's very
fair.
I didn't plan it, but it looks like I did.
Everybody, this is Kyle Clark.
Yay!
I know. This is actually the one time I need to explain who this person is.
I know we're a little too lax about this because Kyle's an old friend.
Oh, because you guys have a different audience for this
I
one.
know.
And Kyle's been on our other show, the Dr. DC podcast, a ton of times.
But also all of our fan base is from This Is Rad.
All of our
Except
Dr.
for this
DC fans come
podcast.
from This Is Rad.
This isn't Dr. DC then.
No, sorry. You can put the Kirby omnibus away.
Okay. I guess I'll save my dead man thoughts for another day. I thought ghosts, so we'd be talking about the early works of Arnold Drake, but that's on me for being presumptuous.
I can't wait until we do a crossover with Dr. DC and we guest with each other.
Oh my God. I don't even know how that would work.
I know, but you have to do it now.
Today we're discussing season 2, episode 1, In My Time of Dying.
We're already starting to get into the emo band episode titles.
Well, this is actually the title of a Led Zeppelin song.
The most emo band.
Yeah, the original emo band.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Jimmy Page, famous for wearing his girlfriend's sweatshirts all the time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sounds about right.
I like that there's just enough delay on this episode to make me nervous.
Did the joke land? Oh my God, is it okay?
Yeah, I do like that.
There's about a heartbeat's worth of time between when I say the things and when you guys react, where I'm just like, oh shit.
That is terrifying.
I'm breaking the supernatural rules.
I know, you've got to be worried about us finding something funny.
Yeah, that's true. We're laughing at our own jokes. There's no way we're not going to laugh at you.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, this episode aired September 28th, 2006. Holy shit.
Okay, so
same year.
September 2006. It's the start of the season. We did this last season.
Yeah.
Where were you September 2006? Let's get a little picture quick.
Yeah.
I was a freshman I was a sophomore in college.
Oh, shit. Okay, September 2006. I guess I was first year university. I would have been a freshman for American listeners.
I mean, I wasn't in university or college at the time. I was definitely
a sophomore in university.
I was soft more for sure.
Than you are now? I find that hard to believe.
No, you're right. It's only gone down now.
Good with me.
I think I was probably working at some restaurant or touring across Canada with a band. One or the other.
I think in September 2006, I was getting excited for Spider-Man 3.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Venom was going to be in it.
Yeah.
Plus the Sandman.
How could
they go wrong with it?
Yeah.
There's no way this could
We're
fail.
going to see the symbiote for the first time, and it's going to change our lives.
Yes. Dig on this.
0 dance battles will be in this film.
Absolutely. This episode was written by Eric Kripke. Obviously, he's gonna man the ship for at least the first episode of this season. Directed by Kim Manners. So that duo, they love
Classic duo for this
they
show.
love coming together. Viewed by an estimated 3.93 million viewers. Oh,
That's not
salad
bad.
days.
That's only slightly lower than the season finale.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
pretty good.
Yeah. I think it actually is. I think it's the new season. I hope people are getting excited for it.
I do love how we've gotten accustomed to like some of these TV numbers as we talk about them. And I'm like, oh, 3.93. That's too bad. Like what I would do to get even like 393 people to
To listen to an episode.
listen to one episode all at once.
I mean, that is the beauty of modern television, is that just the bar is so low for success now versus what it once was, where it's like, holy shit, you like, I like Big Bang Theory is, the highest watched show in America for so long. And like, if they had those numbers in like 2004, everyone on the show would have killed themselves out of shame.
Right. Yeah. It's true. Yeah.
Very true. That's really funny.
Like 2006, what a beautiful age for all of us. We had no idea what's coming. We think the worst is behind us. We got that 9/11 out of the way, and now we're just cruising towards Dark Knight being out in a few years.
Exactly. 2006. I'm an adult living on my own for the first time. I got contacts, and I was about as hot as I've ever been.
That's true. You did look great as hell.
I looked great in university.
Yeah. God.
Man, those were the days.
All right. Why don't we get into?
I could have been on this show. I looked that good.
You could have been a contender.
Oh God.
No, I don't know if you were there.
Yeah, you're right.
Let's get into international titles.
Okay, international title. So the title is "In My Time of Dying." I have to imagine international titles are all over the place.
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah,
this is one of the most. The only one that was also in it that was also in My Time of Dying was the Polish.
Okay, all
that was
right.
the only one.
Playing it safe, Poland.
Yeah, I like that. But Brazil,
Okay,
at the time of my death.
little too literal.
Yeah. German,
Okay.
while I died.
Okay. The tenses that other,
I believe it's pronounced Val I died.
Oh, fair. While I died.
the tenses that other languages use is always funny when you like translate it back again.
Italian.
Okay. Oh, it's got to be like, oh shit, I'm about to die.
In my time of spaghetti.
In my time.
So racist.
So stupid.
The Italian title is.
By the way, I just want to say that's not the delay. That joke didn't land.
You son of a bitch.
Well, the part that was fun was when he laughed self-satisfied to himself saying that's so racist. I felt like at that point, my work here is done.
Yeah. Look, I know where I'm at. The Italian title is In the Moment of Death.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. The Finnish
Sexy.
title.
Finnish title. Finland's usually pretty good for a title.
Yeah, we always get something fun there.
Okay.
The Finnish title is On the Ride with Death.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
They know they're making a medal. Like that feels like a thing where it's just like, we got to protect our Finland brand.
Yeah.
It's true, yeah.
On the Ride with Death?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
I love that. I'm like, they're barely in the
That
even in the
title
car.
was translated by someone who looks like Edgar Winter.
Yeah, slap a whole fish in a plate of mayonnaise.
We have a
We're
gnarly-
going to fucking Finland.
We have a gnarly delay going.
That's all right. We'll figure it out. I don't know what's going on. I did like a Zoom thing a couple days ago too, and it was like bonkers behind, but we'll figure it out.
I just took my phone off Wi-Fi. Do you think that'll help?
Yeah, buddy. That'll help. That'll do the trick. All right. The French title.
Okay.
Telekinesis. Is The Sacrifice. Just given away.
France likes to do that. France likes to give away what happens in the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just like, you don't need to watch. There's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, moving on.
Oh, moving on would be a great title.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Damn it.
And the final.
Okay.
Do you know who
Is it Hungary?
Yeah, it's Hungary.
Come on, Hungary. Don't
Hungary
let me
always
down.
brings it every single episode. The Hungarian title is When the Reaper Comes.
Oh yeah. I like that. When the Reaper comes.
Right?
Oh, geez, Louise.
I know. Hungary always fucking brings it. Hungary is a very different person, I guess.
Yeah.
I'd like to meet that guy.
Amazing.
All right. TV Guide describes this episode as a comatose Dean has an out-of-body experience in which he is stalked by a Reaper, and John considers making a grave sacrifice. What could that be?
A grave sacrifice?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I know. Featured music from this episode, Bad Moon Rising again
Yeah, of course.
by Creedence Clearwater Revival, and Stranglehold by Ted Nugent.
Oh, Christ.
Well, what's wrong with Ted Nugent? Is there something like politically wrong with Ted Nugent? I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, if in season 15 they were using Ted Nugent, we'd be hearing about it.
Mhm.
But in 2006...
It's the Ted Nugent music conundrum where we eventually have to just wait for him to die and then make up a secondary brother named Theodore Nugent and then pull like 5 songs from that we can now use and stuff and go like, no, this was his weird communist brother nobody knew about who also wrote Stranglehold and Motor City Madman.
I couldn't believe how much
right.
good music Tito Jackson made.
Yeah, see, exactly. That's all we got to do. Apply it to siblings who are also dead.
Yeah, let's take all the lessons we learned from MJ and
Imagine if we just all as collective were like, Tito, man. Tito was what it was all about. Tito's record seems pretty clean. So it turns out Tito wrote Billie Jean.
I kind of like that version of revisionism. There's
Yeah.
something I kind of enjoy about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked Franz Hitler's artwork.
Oh no.
See, of course, Richard goes to the spot where we're like, cool, let's do the blackjack dealer hand movement and step away. I read and Kyle wearing vests because you're out of the house, sir. Not a card term, but it sounded official enough, and I said it lightly confident, so it played.
I mean, yeah, as someone that's been in a casino exactly twice, it sounded
As
pretty
someone who
good
grew
to
up
me.
in a casino, I'm disappointed in myself.
Yeah, your mom's gonna burst in and be like, "What did you say? You know that's wrong. Not in my house. Get
Remember,
out."
we own a slot machine. I have to take gambling seriously.
Fair, absolutely.
Like
fair.
in your house?
Yeah.
Yes.
But then who puts the money in? Is it just are you just winning your money?
You put fun little tokens in it.
Oh,
What are
it's
the
just
tokens
Chuck E.
for?
Cheese.
Oh, it's just for tokens.
Could you redeem the tokens for things?
I mean, we have a prize area. It's mostly spider rings, though, at this point. We haven't refreshed it. COVID stuff on everything.
Yeah. I forgot that was still an issue.
We have
Couple
a
of
sticky hand, but it's 400 tokens.
Couple of those little plastic flipping frogs.
Yeah, it's a
You get it.
It's a PS5, but it takes 10 million tokens.
Do you guys get the Orient trading catalog in Canada?
No, I don't know what that.
Oh,
or maybe we do, but we don't.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's definitely probably more of a mom and teacher thing, but it's there's a company called Oriental Trading Company. You order bulk like party supplies like that. Like that's where you
Right.
buy flipping frogs from, and that's where you buy like
I kind of
fun
feel
little
like
plastic noise.
If it was called
makers.
I
Oriental,
kind of feel like you can't call a company that in Canada.
Yeah, fair.
Because
America, we're like, I see no problem. Bring forth your catalog full of shit we don't need. I was obsessed with it as a kid. I was like, I can buy 400 Smarties for like $9. What a country.
I mean, in a world where Jared Padalecki is on the cover of Cowboys and Indians magazine, I don't think.
yeah,
they care.
that was god, that was tough to look at. Yeah, you can't call a magazine that.
No, it
They meant
doesn't.
the Dallas Cowboys and the
American football team. Yeah, yeah, we both got there. I'm happy. I'm proud of us.
Nice.
So before we start talking more, Kyle, I want to know your history with Supernatural, if there is anything at all besides last night.
Okay, so here's my timeline. Supernatural begins in 2005.
Yeah.
I heard of it somewhere around 2011. It was a like I I was a big TV watcher until I wasn't. And this is definitely one of those shows that kind of like is just past where I really kind of like stopped watching regular TV that wasn't like, I would have one show. Like, so it was Lost during this time period. I was a big Lost person. My family were big Lost people. And then I jumped to like a Battlestar. And then I just gave it up entirely. And so it was an interesting thing because like I knew even less than I thought I knew about it. And then about a year ago, 2 years ago on This Is Rad, we did a Supernatural episode with my friend Lucretia Lyon, and I'll listen to her talk about fucking anything. She is a genius and I adore her. And so when she pitched, I was like, cool, I'm going to learn about Supernatural. And what I learned is how many people in my life are way into Supernatural. Laura, a part of the This Is Rad family and Matt's longtime girlfriend. She has been a big fan of it during the run. And so she popped in a couple times and had some hot takes. My friend Ron Swallow sent me several text messages. That's my favorite is I always get messages after episodes. If somebody's invested, I learn because if I'm textable, I get commentaries from whoever's invested in the thing. And Richard is definitely one of the 4 or 5 people really at the top of that list for episode commentary.
That's very true.
When I get one from Ron, I know it was a good episode because like I like Ron's one of those people who just has always had pretty good taste. So if he's hitting something, give him like, ooh, I got a Ron award there. This is exciting.
I didn't know Ron was a Supernatural fan. He's getting on here.
Oh, you gotta get him on. He has got thoughts. And so then the most recent, so we watched that episode, so I kind of understood what it is. There's a Sam, there's a Dean, somebody's got a dad, there's a gay devil. That's pretty much what I took away from that episode. And then my girlfriend, Taylor VH, she is a big fan. She listened to that episode and then she started dunking on Richard. So all of a sudden I'm now very invested in the show because I believe what was her quote is that you're a Dean or whatever it was. Like,
it was a Sam girl. Yeah.
You're a Sam girl. That's it.
Really, yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
You couldn't handle Dean.
No.
Well, what's interesting is like, so then I watched this episode last night. This is the first and potentially only episode of Supernatural I watch unless I come back on this show.
You 100%.
That's amazing.
And I said a couple of things, Richard, last night. The first thing I observed watching it was if this show was on TV when I was like in 6th grade, like 11, 12, that area, this would be the finest entertainment money can buy. This is
perfect
everything
time
that I wanted.
for complicated sexual feelings.
Yeah, it's and it's 2 brothers and they're fucking hunting demons and they got cool guns and they drive a bitchin' car and demons are bad and they're going around and sometimes there's girls but they're not scary. Just everything 13-year-old me needed out of something. And so I think it's one of those the many shows where I look at where I'm like, okay, I can understand the appeal here. I'm maybe not in the place in my life where I need this anymore, but I'm not mad it's here because I know people who need this, And so watching it, I was impressed. I have to say, like in the last maybe 10 years, I've really gained of all, as my esteem for most television continues to descend further and further into the dregs. One of the weird side effects is I really fucking respect the hustle of the CW shows. Like across the board, they're like one of the handful of things I kind of like co-sign with very little like caveats to it because they work real hard. They're kind of consistent in their thing. They're never chasing you, desperately trying to get you to watch. They're like, look, you either love Supergirl or you need to leave.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. And I respect this, I just respect that a ton. And I think it's really neat. I'm trying to swear less. I've already failed for the episode. So watching.
Sorry, do we swear less on this show?
No. I am finding that on mic, I'm really turning into a real swear machine. So I'm trying to just pull myself back. It's not by any note. It's just my own like, man, I gotta slow down.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But kind of seeing that this is one of the probably maybe the show DNA wise that jumps us from the kind of Dawson's Creek One Tree Hill into them going like, well, if we put spooky monsters in it, we might get more people who show up. And then they put a show full of handsome boys chasing ghosts and librarians and teachers around the world who are like, oh snap, this show is for us. and then teen showed up and said, no, but this is for us. And then it's like, well, let's debate this on the message board. It's quick to the erotic fan art pages. And I love it because like I love that stuff. Like even like I love like a weird scene of people who are finding each other and having a good time and not hurting anybody, especially because like, you know, there's so many toxic fandoms. So when you find one that's just like wants to like make out with itself and like tell fun side stories, I'm like, you guys are the lifeblood of nerdism.
Yeah.
So like so it's been a fun thing to watch, and just seeing how like much people seem to enjoy it. Watching it now, I'm glad I've seen an episode, because I definitely like 100% get the appeal. So that even though it's maybe not the Mia show, I've hated many things I've had to watch for podcasts far more than I hated this, because I actually thought this was kind of fun. It was also weird because Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who plays their dad, you know, I worked on Talking Dead for 10 years, 9 years.
Right.
And
yeah.
I was around for him coming through. You know, I've met him a couple of times and stuff like that. And when he first came on, everyone's like, it's Dad from Supernatural. I'm like, that show's still on. And that was in 2000 and I don't know, 12. So we're only halfway through the run at that point. And I've always been I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan is a phenomenal actor. I'm a huge fan. Yeah. You know, and watching this, you really see, it's funny because like Walking Dead really transformed him, you know, as far as like people's perception of him. But you also see in this, like, oh, they knew when they were hiring him that like, oh, we'll just hire an incredibly handsome DILF and who every smile he does lights up the room, and we'll make him the face bashing monster of Walking Dead, because like he'll be able to recover from that. Like he can take the sins and punishment, not unlike Jesus.
What was the thing? What was the thing that we said about Jeffrey Dean Morgan? Oh, we said he's the master of tired and tough.
Yeah.
he's a tough guy who just needs to rest.
Yes.
100,000% of the time. That's every role he's ever played or will play. It's that, and then guy who slyly grins at a young man when he realizes he's growing up.
Yeah.
That's his number one acting trick across both shows. Between the boys on Supernatural and Carl on the other show, is like when a young man does something that shows like he's going to become a good man one day, Jeffrey Dean Morgan can smile and like, that's why we're paying him $1 million.
God, that's so true.
Just a wince look and then a slight like smirk.
Oh yeah. Then he looks away, and when he turns back, half smirk smile that says, I love you, son.
Yeah.
And I'm weeping and going, thank you, Dad.
I was going to say, yeah.
Oh, that's the appeal of the show, right? Like that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's like one of the three things about the show is. All right. So watched it, sent Richard a couple of notes, because the show was not at all what I expected. I was expecting much more melodrama. I was expecting Arrow, and it is not Arrow.
No. And I think you're absolutely correct that this is, I think one of the biggest problems with this show is that it on the surface comes off like it is the melodrama that you're used to seeing from CW.
And you know, it's
theory on this though.
It's not that there aren't those moments. We talked about it lots even in the first season.
Yeah, it's definitely
but it doesn't lean on it. Like Arrow was like, we love this shit.
This is a soap opera with superheroes.
Exactly. Yeah. They had a different sort of raison d'etre than
Supernatural.
So
what's your theory?
Okay, but this show, the reason I think it's playing that, and I'd be curious to see later season episodes because I bet I'm right. They are in these first couple of seasons inventing a new genre of show.
100%.
Definitely. Yeah.
They are taking
CW show.
They are taking the CW Dawson's Creek thing, and they are infusing it with the Xena Hercules genre show elements of syndicated television at the time. Star Trek, all those things. Do you guys remember Dracula, the series? This has little bits of DNA from that.
God.
Yeah.
And so you're literally watching them go, all right, well, what does like genre teen stuff look like? You know, and this is what 2 years away from Twilight coming out is when this show starts.
Yeah,
so
guess.
like,
Wow,
you know, pop genre, you know, horror fantasy stuff is really, you know, the seeds that were being set through the 2000s, you know, with the, you know, in comics with Fables and the kind of re-rise of Sandman and stuff like that, and then into like TV with like, you know, Battlestar and Lost and things like that, kind of normalizing sci-fi and that early run of the superhero things. And I feel like this show goes like, all right, you know, it makes so much sense that this is the show you do before you build the DC universe, because it's like, okay, we've got no properties, but we can do Monster of the Week test episodes and make them heroes in a way that we can then set up
and we're
for
only,
the Berlanti-verse.
We're only like a year.
And so I think
we're only a year or two out from something like True Blood or stuff
Yes,
like
exactly.
that too. Like we're right on the cusp of all of those things.
This show's inventing so much of what is TV language for the next decade after this. So like I'm very impressed because watching them like, oh, this is the one. It's weird. Like it's hearing that like, you know, the New York Dolls and First Ramones record were like, oh, this is how this starts. Like you hear the MC5 and the Stooges are like, oh, okay.
And you could see how so much can go wrong with that too.
Yeah.
Like I think they do a good job of constantly reinventing itself. Even like from season 1 to season 2, we're seeing a drastic change in the way that they're doing this show, because you can tell they sold the show based on this is a thing that sort of is inspired by and parodies like sort of classic horror genres. And so the first season's all of that, and then as they get towards the end, they're like, oh wow, people are really liking this overarching story. So they start pulling it more into the second season. And then
I think it gets a
completely
lot
changes.
more of that like Xena Hercules
Yes.
thing into this season and as it goes on. Yeah.
Well, and as it keeps going too, you have stuff like Lost that is now also at the same time changing television storytelling in a different way. And so I can only assume that as this goes along, it becomes a little bit more decompressed in its storytelling.
Totally.
That things get longer, and then I lose interest because I don't care about that, and I just love episodic stories.
And I think that they always knew that that was sort of where their bread gets buttered, so they always bring that in. And I think you get at least like 4 or 5 really solid sort of episodic things each season. They understand sort of like, and this is also the season where they'll start realizing that the metatextual stuff is really, really beneficial for them, and they can play off that stuff. And I think that they pull a lot of that into it, and they try to do a lot for each season. And I think this is one of the last shows that can really do the like 22 episodes and actually give them all a lot of their own life.
Yeah, totally.
It's funny that you say that structurally, because that's the X-Files. Like this show is very much like I imagine the pitch was, what if this was X-Files with 2 handsome boys and their handsome dad, and they're like, so they're handsome, you say? Like, I mean, X-Files had that where it was like 75% monster of the week, 25% continuity stories. And I imagine that's probably how these seasons are structured for quite a while. Is like sometimes there's a trash monster, but then that, you know, Damien, their friend who keeps coming back into their lives with special guest star, handsome new guy, like, you know, comes through.
Well, yeah, 100%. It's definitely, there's a lot of parallels.
For the record, I wished I'd written for this show. This seems like such a fun show to work on.
And it's a very like the humor and like is, I think it's very you later on. There's like, I mean, I told you about that one the French mistake. I told them about
great episode.
that episode, and
we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, we're bringing Kyle on for that episode, I think.
Deal.
Because I think that it does a lot. It doesn't take itself super seriously. I mean, the stuff that
it's redeeming quality.
Yeah, I think it's the thing that
this shit is played super serial. So I feel like bad because there's the delay, so it sounds like I'm talking over you every time because I hear a pause and then it starts again.
It's okay. I think what keeps it from being Arrow is the fact that it doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah,
and it allows itself
also
to
the
be
characters
more
have
like,
their shirts on.
Yes. Well, no.
More than on Arrow.
Really?
Oh my god, yeah. Every
Arrow
episode
shirts
of
are
Arrow,
illegal.
he's doing the fish ladder thing.
I mean,
it's
if
wild.
I would. Yeah, I get it. All right. Well, before we actually start walking through this episode,
sure,
let's go into Dad's journal and talk about the real world lore on today's monster.
Yeah, let's see what the lore says about Reapers.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. We're talking about.
I remember in college I had a Reaper whistle.
I mean, how dare you?
Is that not okay?
How dare you? We are talking about.
That's how I laugh at Richard jokes, by the way, is womp womp.
Oh man,
Like
you're
the Charlie
constantly
Brown
laughing.
adult.
That's great.
Yeah,
I'm hilarious.
Jesus Christ. We're talking about beings that navigate like the transition from life to afterlife. We talked about in past episodes that lots of cultures have like funeral practices that are like specifically about making sure your soul makes it where it's supposed to go. Like, covering mirrors or making sure kids aren't in the room so souls don't like attach themselves to them or stuff like that. Like, there's all sorts of cultural things about making sure your soul knows where it's going. There's a word for the type of being that we're talking about, and it isn't really Reaper. We'll get to the word Reaper, but it's called a psychopomp. And
I'm sorry, what?
A psychopomp is like it's a collection of from
I was a pompadour. He plays 50s rock, but it's about Dracula.
God, you got to it first. God damn it.
It means guide of souls, and they're
What I'm here
common
for.
They're common in all cultures. So ones that you might recognize. Charon from Greek mythology, the ferryman, right? That takes you across the river Styx. The funeral rite there would be putting a coin in.
I gave him a potion, and now he's my friend. Play Hades.
I do.
Very nice.
Character there.
Very
The
nice.
merch shop in the dungeon.
Yeah, the funeral right there is you'd put a coin in the person's mouth, and that's payment for the ferryman, right? Anubis.
Richard does it, but he's just being cute.
Oops.
Jeez Louise. Good lord. So oddly, both in Egyptian mythology and Aztec mythology, you have these like dog head psychopomps. So you either have Anubis or you have Zolotl, and they were both like dog figures that escorted the dead to the afterlife. There's a version of Shiva that does that, but it's not to the afterlife. It's like Shiva escorts you to like enlightenment and back into the cycle of like death and rebirth kind of thing. You could make the argument that even Saint Peter in Christianity is a version of a psychopomp because he's the guy that opens the gate for you.
Oh, fair.
The laziest psychopomp.
Yeah, he's like, I don't have to
The one
guide
with
you
the
on the
chair
way.
standing by.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just the guy in Bree that's like 4 hobbits. So we'll talk the Grim Reaper. It's the most iconic sort of Western version of a psychopomp in modern day. With the black hood, being skeletal, having the scythe.
It's a gothic psychopomp.
Qu'est-ce que c'est? The skeletal form, the hooded cloak, and the scythe. It's probable that all of that imagery came from like the Black Plague era, when like a third of Europe was wiped out. But the actual word Grim Reaper, I think, doesn't come around until like 18th century. But the word Reaper is specifically referencing the scythe, because that's what you do with the scythe, is you like reap what you have sown, literally, like the phrase is. So to call something a reaper comes specifically from that image that we have of the Grim Reaper with the scythe. So kind of
It's
kind of
interesting to
fascinating
think
stuff there.
about how like farming tools and the Great Beyond are so intrinsically linked, because you have the Grim Reaper with the scythe and little devils with pitchforks. I feel like there's a weird thing where it's like farmers are like, why are you hammering on my job? Like, why isn't there somebody with an evil quill or like, I don't know, a devil's cash register? Why does it have to be the shit I'm using for perfectly normal things?
Yeah, demons should all
Devil's cash register is a name for something.
demons should all have riot shields and rubber bullets.
Oh, no.
That's right. I'm getting political,
Wow.
baby.
Defund the devil.
It also feels like something that then it's like, all right, when you have those demons, they got to be fought by Dante from Devil May Cry.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so that's what we're talking about today. We're talking
Wow.
about Reapers.
Wow. Now you understand why we didn't talk about it last time they came up.
Hey,
Huh?
I have a plan.
There's continuity,
I have
baby.
an executable plan that's happening here.
Wow.
What was the last Reaper episode? Because he talks about that in this one.
Last Reaper episode was Faith Healer, or just called Faith, from the first season. I think it's episode 11 or 12.
Yeah.
And they meet a Faith Healer, but what is really happening is the Faith Healer's wife has trapped a Reaper and is using it to trade lives. So while as the Faith Healer heals someone else elsewhere dies of what was ailing them.
I feel like
Move.
I feel like there's a national song called "The Faith Healer's Wife," but
Is there?
No, I was just making a bad joke.
Okay.
It's fine. Can I get a
You
womp
got
womp?
two people who don't listen to the National.
Oh. So then you believe me. Just laugh.
Nah, I don't believe they ever wrote songs. I think
All right.
it's all a hoax.
All right, Jeb Bush, please laugh. Jesus Christ.
Now that's funny.
Womp womp.
I like that his womp womp was basically him going, no.
I'm taking my ball and going home. Internet destroyed.
Internet destroyed.
So, for the sake of our internet quality, I'm not going to play the episode.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
That's
we will
fine.
just walk through the scenes because Kyle is not watching anyway. So
Yeah, let's do it.
it's fine. All right, let's get in today's episode. Right away, before we even talk about it, there's an important behind the scenes information that needs to be talked about. We talked about it from the end of the first season, but the last episode was the final episode on the WB, which means this is
That's
actually
right.
the first episode to be on the CW.
That's right.
Oh.
Yeah. This is what has hath birthed the CW.
Wow.
Yeah.
What hath birthed it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Dean
I
got
didn't realize it's so
WB pregnant.
central.
Yeah, it's like literally on the cusp. I mean, you can literally see it change from like where it started to now. It's like becomes the CW, and then everything sort of it 1,000 ships come from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. Also, if you're watching this probably through streaming and weren't watching it when it came out, this is the first episode to feature actual music, which aired when the show did. So the first season, Kyle, they didn't have a thing called digital rights for music. So all of the music they had to put new terrible music into it.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
the MTV effect. I've been
Yes.
rewatched, and we have CBS All Access for 11 weeks as my family watches the Stand series, and then it's gone. But I've been using
Discovery
it to watch.
too. Yeah.
No, not my Star Trek. It's full of violence, not conversations about a better future that we should strive for. Instead, it's now just acting like
That's
It is
actually
too.
that's
It is.
actually 100% not true. That's
Yeah.
almost all what Discovery is conversations about the better future.
See, but everybody.
This is a different
show.
this
It's a
is-
whole different thing. This is
This
a
is
whole
a different
separate
thing.
debate.
Yeah. We can't. We can't.
Bring me to a well-lit room where we're having a philosophy class, and I will put on my communicator again. But I've been watching a bunch of Daria because they have a bunch of old MTV stuff on there. They actually have Celebrity Deathmatch too. Haven't dived into that yet, but and that's another show where like all those MTV shows took forever to get out because they did not have sync rights for anything, and so they had to put in temp music. And I know that it ruins things for a lot of people. I give zero fucks because I don't know that like the scene that I like from Daria with fun jokes is better with getting jiggy with it over it. Like I'm kind of fine with just the generic beat.
I mean, that's fair, but also it makes a huge difference with this show because if you look at the
Yeah.
soundtrack for season 1, it's all of like the best classic rock. But when you actually watch it in streaming, it's all just
Yeah, I mean this one opens with Bad Moon Rising now.
Yeah.
After the then
It makes a huge
after the then
difference.
now we get a
Yes.
proper then now, not
Yeah.
22 years ago.
Yes, yeah, we actually start getting
We get a
some,
proper
like,
then and now.
Mhm.
And then opening basically right where we left off.
Yeah, exactly.
They got
Yeah,
hit by a car.
yeah, a
That
truck.
previous
no doubt.
line was real helpful, or I'd have been like, "Oh man, this show's really starting out fast."
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I that's the one thing that's great about this show is they always their recaps are better than a lot of other shows that
Yeah.
I've watched. They really help so you can kind of jump in at any point. That's that classic TV thing too, right? Where they're expecting people to potentially be watching it from here for the very first time, which is
Yeah.
great.
Previously on X-Men.
Yeah, exactly.
That you just
To me,
did
that's
the
always-
voice
that's
for the
every
Lost. You just did the
Yeah.
Lost voice.
Which was the same voice for the X-Men one. It was Cyclops who did both.
Oh,
He's uncredited on Lost.
really?
That's not no. I'm
Oh.
making this up.
Oh, because I was like, I thought it was the other writer that wasn't Damon
Beautiful
Lindelof.
idiot.
Oh man. See, I knew. I'm just very easily changed. God damn it.
Have a look at your notes, buddy.
Yeah, go back to the notes. That's right. Stay for the notes. So it begins with this the possessed truck driver from the previous episode climbing out of his truck and walking over to the Impala. This is actually a different truck from the previous season and a different location, and the guy is different.
Because they didn't film it all at once.
No, they didn't.
They had to come back
They had
and
to
recreate
remake it.
the moment. So wait, sorry, even the guys.
The guy's different.
The demon changed him.
Yeah, well, yeah, they
that's
swapped out.
I didn't notice.
I know you wouldn't have because you weren't really paying attention to the guy anyways, but it's important to mention. But
That's funny.
Sam wakes up inside just as the possessed man pulls the door right off the car and says, basically, Sam's like, get out of here.
Well,
And
Sam points the Colt at him.
yeah, and he goes like, he's like, I'll kill you. And we know as watchers, and maybe they mentioned it, but there's only like 2 bullets left.
We've only got 2 bullets left for the Colt that can kill
there was
anything.
3, but he did a victory pop. Yeah.
Yeah.
and he points the
He
gun
shot a
at
TV that Robert Goulet was on, trying to kill the ghost of Robert Goulet.
Well, of course, yeah. And basically, the demon calls him on his shit, and he's like, "Do you know that I'm not going to do it though? Like, do you really want to like take that chance?" And then
the demon says like, "You're saving that bullet" or something like that. Yeah,
yeah. And he's like,
I saw the previously on. You didn't shoot your dad.
That would have been too meta for this season of Supernatural, but would have fit in great in a later season.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, that later seasons don't give a fuck, but he jumps out of the body anyways.
Yes, yeah. The demon flees.
Yeah, which I think is an important thing because that gives Sam the ability to actually get safe. They end up getting a paramedic in a helicopter to take them to a hospital. He doesn't know if Dean's okay. He doesn't know what's basically happening with everybody because they're so out of it from this accident. I mean, that's like your intro to this episode. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, Sam says like, "Are they even alive?"
Yeah.
Like to the paramedic, because their paramedics are just saying like their blood pressure numbers and stuff like that.
And that's when we get into basically what is ostensibly almost a bottle episode.
Pretty much, because we spend the rest of this episode in
The
a hospital.
Yeah, which I love. I mean, God, I love a single like location show. I mean, it got to be so nice for filming too.
Oh yeah.
But it's actually two separate locations for filming because they did part of it in a studio and part of it at the same location from the episode of Asylum. It's actually the same hospital.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Wait,
Yeah.
as Asylum?
Yeah.
Like it's the Asylum?
Yeah, it's the Asylum.
I thought they used an actual.
They did.
But they cleaned it up and
Yeah.
made it look like a shiny hospital for the. Oh shit!
Is your mind being blown by movie magic right now?
My point was more that
But
like
that was
why,
a different place. How could it be a different place
no,
again?
my point was more if you're going to put all the effort into cleaning up something that looked so shitty, just build the whole thing in studio. Why go to the location?
Shut up.
All right. After this, we're going to run some metrics for you, and I'm going to show you some spreadsheets, and you'll understand.
Okay.
But another piece of information about this same location is the building is used to portray the hospital, later used as Black Creek Luther Corp facility in the season 8 premiere of Smallville.
Oh.
Yeah, appearing.
This
both
is shot in
times the
Vancouver,
season.
right?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yeah. Big time.
Okay, just making sure.
Oh, it's CW. It's all Vancouver.
Because if it were shot here, are you guys? I think it's been blowed up now, but are you guys familiar with the Scrubs Hospital?
Oh
I've heard
yeah.
I've heard about
That
it.
Hollywood bought a hospital in the valley, relatively near to where I live, that is like abandoned and terrifying, and took a couple of floors, cleaned them up, and basically every doctor show or movie for the last like 20 years was like all shot in the same 4 floors of this abandoned hospital in Van Nuys.
That's amazing. I love that.
I
so
knew that it
much.
was Scrubs. I didn't know that it was like all of those shows. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh yeah, Scrubs lived on like basically a whole floor, but like if you look around, there's a lot of hospitals that look an awful lot like the Scrubs Hospital.
Wow. That's crazy.
hilarious.
And somebody made a bunch of money because they own an abandoned hospital and decided to not make it look haunted while they look for the gold.
So we're at the hospital now, and Dean wakes up.
Yeah, Dean wakes up. Sam
Yeah.
was the one that we were seeing.
We
We
were
were like,
following,
Sam came
yeah.
out of this all right, but Dean's the one that wakes up and starts looking around for Sam. And
For anybody,
John,
he's
for
realizing that
anyone.
like he's not really finding anybody. They actually had to reshoot this initial sort of scene while he's walking around the hospital because initially they had him like opening up doors and like looking into rooms, and Eric Kripke saw that and was like, "He's a ghost. How is he opening up all these doors?"
Yeah.
Like you have to. At least,
Spoiler alert: Dean is not actually awake right now.
yeah, I'm assuming no one's watching this and listening to this at the very first.
I know. I was
If they are,
joking.
hey, whatever.
It wasn't like a real spoiler alert. We're talking about Reapers and stuff already.
I hear an alert and I always take it seriously.
I don't.
Oh, Amber Alert, get out of here.
Jesus Christ.
So can I ask a Dean question since we're on Dean for a
I
minute?
would
Of
love
course.
Dean M. I said this to both Richard and my girlfriend, and neither of them really dignified it, but I'm going to double down on it because it's super real, and I'm going to open your blind eyes. Dean of the 3 characters I spent some time with this episode. I mean, Jeffrey Dean Morgan's on a whole other level because he's just dad god. But Dean, from when he's a ghost looking around as we're going through the episode, I'm fascinated by both brothers. So I'm excited to get into this because like you also see how the show runs for 15 seasons because they're both such hard archetypes.
Oh yeah.
Dean fascinated me because every single line of dialogue that he says in this episode sounds like he is both trying to sound super macho and he is about to burst into tears at any second.
I mean,
is that just his
Yes, that's Dean. That's all of Dean.
100%.
He's been trained his whole life to keep his emotions inside. He's bad at it. He can't manage it.
It's why I didn't dignify your answer with a response, because I'm like, yeah, that's
their
it.
very line of work means he's constantly confronted with all of his worst fears and thoughts about himself. Yes.
It just only gets more pained as he goes through the seasons.
It's interesting because it's a very it's a riff on an old teen idol archetype of the kind of like tough angst guy. It's very James Dean, which I imagine maybe is where it's coming from there.
Oh yeah, I mean,
namesake wise,
and even Dean has a real James Dean thing in later episodes and seasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's wearing a red jacket and dying in car accidents. I guess he's already there.
Oh no,
making Richard laugh.
Yes, 100%.
Making Richard laugh because someone died.
Good Lord.
Kyle knows me right here.
So Dean is looking through this hospital.
Yeah.
He's trying to get nurses' attention and stuff. No one's looking
He's
at
snapping
him.
in front of like people's faces.
It's a real, he's a real sixth sense of himself.
Yeah. He's dead the whole time.
Yeah. And then finally someone acknowledges him.
That's right. But I think before that, he actually sees his own body in.
Oh yeah, he does.
The room, right?
Yeah.
Because he goes in and basically sees his own body laying in the bed, attached to like tubes and machines, which like those are actually like stuck in his nose and mouth and stuff.
Oh really?
So whenever it's like actually you like focus in on him, you can see that it, like Dean had to sit there, like Jensen had to sit there with like all of that shit in him like that whole time.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's really awful. But anytime that they're both with him and his body in the room, there's actually like a double that had to wear like a silicone thing over its face to look like him.
Nice.
Which was disturbing.
Nice.
It's like this whole like prosthetic face and shit. Yeah, it's
that's awesome.
It's fucked up, but it looks awesome. But yeah, he basically
so Dean realizes himself first that he's looking at his own body, that he's having an out-of-body experience, that he might be dying.
Yeah, Sam comes into the room and he's trying to like reach out to him, and he realizes that like Sam's super distraught. He's in the same room as his body. He's sort of putting all the pieces together that he's actually the one that's dead, or sort of dying, I guess, which is important.
Yeah.
And Sam's getting super upset about the whole thing. And then we go to John's room before Dean even meets anybody.
Yeah, because the doctor comes and...
Well, because, John gives Sam the insurance, and his medical insurance is Elroy McGillicuddy.
Yeah, because they have fake IDs, of course.
Yeah, and which is a reference to I Love Lucy. McGillicuddy is Lucy Ricardo's maiden name.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which is kind of funny. I like
nice.
That. That's cute. John asks about Dean, and they basically get into... Are you laughing at our...
I like that it was a tepid response even by Canadian standards. Like it was, instead of being funny, he went, yeah, that's really funny, and then he went, yeah.
There are levels to the fun facts that Richard has on the show, and some of them I give them like a okay.
That's
and then some of them are like, oh no way.
You gave him the level that is polite nod of acknowledgement.
Yeah. So this is where Sam basically tells John that like Dean's dying.
Yeah.
And John's first sort of response is, okay, but like, where's the Colt?
Yeah. I mean, again, but this is exactly the thing. It's like John is always the mission. That's how Dean knew that it was the yellow-eyed demon possessing him, where he was like, no, it's all right. I'm proud of you. He's like, no, Dad would have been furious that yeah. That's how he knew, mission, right? Because John is just obsessed.
Yeah, exactly. So he basically they get in a huge fight, and John goes like, "You need to get the car back before it gets into an impound lot." And they say, "Don't worry, Bobby's coming to get it," or as Kyle called him,
he's a cooter. So in Dukes of Hazzard, the Duke boys have a cooter who helps deal with the General Lee and things like that and setting up jumps. And so I didn't realize that these supernatural Duke boys had their own cooter, which to me was the real selling point on the show. I'm going to be honest with you. Also,
and you're not wrong.
Love that both you and Taylor very pro Bobby. I don't know what he shows up to continue to do, but I love that everybody's response is Bobby is the best. And so I'm just like, oh, I'm curious what this guy's up to later.
He's like, his whole thing is that he calls everybody idiots, and
he's such a great character.
He's like, you see a lot of this type of character in like X-Files and stuff like that. It's a guy that's like unassuming but actually knows like a ton about everything that they're dealing with, but sort of looks like he shouldn't. I love that archetype, and this show really loves to play on that, which is like the unassuming guy who ends up being a genius.
Yeah.
I'm all about that. And so
I feel like that very much was an archetype for a long time. Then the industry was like, we should stop telling people that people who look odd are intelligent. Make sure only super fuckable people can be smart, and that's modern TV.
Yeah, put us in our place.
Oh, Jesus.
Shut up, handsome.
Yeah, step on my throat. Look, this show has to be aggressively sexual. It's the only way that we match the thing that we're watching. So
don't understand.
We end up now going to Bobby's junkyard for the first time since basically the end of last season, which is exciting because this becomes like a place that we're going to continue to return to.
Yeah.
This was
Cheers.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
This is the first shot that was filmed for the whole season was at Bobby's junkyard.
Right on.
Sam and Bobby are taking a look at the Impala, and Bobby says there's basically no way to fix this. Sam gets upset and says that even if there's one part of the car still working, it's good enough. This family is all about doesn't matter as long as we can possibly fight at all. Like that's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
Which is sort of it's this. It sort of symbolizes what they want to do for Dean, what they're going to do as a family to solve this problem.
Yeah.
It's so symbolic. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, no.
Why are you attacking your own show?
It's important. It's what the show does too.
The screen froze, so it felt like such an. And I was like, oh no, I stepped too far behind the curtain.
This is
my
what
sass has finally buried me.
Yeah, I think we're done here. We're gonna go fix this Impala now.
Yeah, this is a Canadian show, friend.
No, I mean it's true though. But we know how much the Impala means to Dean, and now even to Sam because he spent this year with Dean and then even to John, who was like, I wouldn't have given it to you if I knew you were gonna treat it like shit or whatever he said last season.
Exactly. Yeah. But while they're sort of talking about the Impala, Sam gives Bobby this list of demands from John of all these ingredients and things that he needed. And John had told Sam that this was for a protection spell. And Bobby sort of like looks at the ingredients and tilts his head, is like, that's not what this is. And Sam's like, what the fuck is it? And you don't get to know yet, but because we immediately go back to Dean's room.
Yeah.
Where Dean's basically sitting, Dean's body's on there, John's sitting next to him, basically having the conversation. We're not saying anything, really. John was just sitting there quietly looking at him,
It's
not
like
doing
kind of
anything.
Dean talking. He's like talking to John, but John can't hear him.
He has this
sort of
monologue that's like sort of this pain thing of all the things that he wants to say to him, right? Which is like, you got to help me. I got to get better. Like, why aren't you doing anything? You haven't called anybody for help. Like, why are you just going to not say anything? Like, I've done everything I've done for you, everything I've done for this family. Like, you really start getting what it's really about, which is like, I've given everything for you.
because he's been like John's loyal lapdog for so long.
Yeah.
And now he's like, no, Sam was right, you asshole. Like,
you give
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Please.
Why are they bagging on Dad so much? Because he seems like he's right 100% of the time in this episode. At no point is he incorrect, and it seems like just a bunch of ungrateful people who don't know anything are questioning him as he saves the day single-handedly.
So here's the thing. John is often, if not always, right. And yet,
He's
Dean,
a bad father.
He's a bad father. His obsession with trying to find this demon their whole lives has turned them into these emotionally crippled monster hunters.
Because I mean, what the show could have done was go
instead of
hey,
being happy for his sons when they wanted to do something else, like Sam wanted to go to school, he pushed them away. He's fractured their relationships. Dean stood by him for a really long time, and now I think he's realizing that. Even Dean had said it last season. It's like if finding and killing this demon that hurt our family results in the rest of us dying, I don't want to do it. But John is like, that's all there is. John is like a Batman, and now Dean and Sam are kind of like the Nightwings or Red Hoods or Robins or whatever. That
Robins.
They're kind of like the ones that are like, but is the mission everything? Like,
yeah. Like, if we don't have a life, did we like?
So that leads me leads me to the question though of like, once you know like demons exist,
Yeah.
and like demons know that you know they exist, I don't know that like going back to community college is a thing on your agenda anymore, and that's
Well-
like profoundly unfair. But also, so is demons killing everyone.
And that is ultimately
Yeah.
how that goes. Sam does not, spoiler alert, ever go back to
Yeah,
university.
the first episode is him basically getting pulled from university because he left the family behind to try to like pursue a normal life, and they're like, "This shit's gonna follow us forever." Like, and it basically invades.
There's a
his
couple of
life.
little blips over the course of the seasons where each of them try a stint at normal living, and it doesn't work.
because you can't know
That
that
you're
demons are real.
you're right, Kyle. I mean, that's the ultimate sort of premise of the show. Is just like, no, you know about this now. That's it.
Yeah, the lesson is you can't run from pain. All you can do is succumb to it.
Oh,
Well, or like deal
Oh.
with it, like, and go on the offensive, because instead of ignoring pain, you got to fight the pain, and that's more painful than ignoring it. So I think like succumbing to it would be going and trying to live a normal life and ignoring all
Yeah,
of this
what a
horror that you know
beta
about.
opinion that you
I
just
guess
had.
that's a healthier way
Such
to think
a
about it.
beta
Like,
goddamn
I mean, because
opinion.
I mean,
I'm gonna pay you guys to
symbolically,
get
it's
out of
literally
here.
like you guys can either ignore your feelings and try to pretend like everything's fine,
Yeah.
which is, I guess, a viable way to live a wildly unsatisfying life, or you can
Yes.
do a thing larger than yourself.
Yeah.
But what do I know? I'm just the guy who was right about everything and gave my life to save you fucking assholes.
Yes, I think the balance is that.
I mean,
that,
I don't have a counter argument,
No.
really.
I think the balance is that John should
I'm a
have.
John guy, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fair. I think the balance is that John shouldn't have taken his kids through that entire experience and should have like given them up for adoption or like given them
Right.
to someone with his friend.
But at the same time, like coal miners don't give their kids up for adoption, but their life is dangerous and full of strife. Like the idea being there that like if you have a difficult life, you should not have a family.
So what happened? What happened to the next scene?
Oh no, is he convincing us that John's a good father? This is
I'm not saying he's a good father. I'm saying he was put in a complicated situation and did the best he could. You know what
you should
parenting
have
is.
you should have written for this show.
I would have loved to have written for this show. The whole time watching it, like that's all I kept thinking is like, I don't know that I'd watch every episode of this show, but goddamn, I'd write for this show every season to the fucking last hour. Like, I cannot think of a show that looks more fun to write on than this.
Well, and you have a very similar, I think, mindset too.
Yeah.
At the I mean, yeah, the shit I could tell you about the show, you would really love the way that they write about it because they directly address the writers many times in this show.
I have and I've talked to Richard about this off pods before, but like I have a future writing project that's kind of in a similar DNA to Supernatural.
Oh,
So it
yeah.
was interesting watching this and kind of seeing like, okay, like I see where like, you know, I can see how this is a fun refillable situation. There's something, it's that universal Scooby-Doo thing, couple of fun characters, little supernatural thing, and you have literally like 25 different hit TV shows in the last 50 years.
Yeah, totally.
And it's funny you mentioned Scooby-Doo because that's applicable.
Oh, love
So now we're back in the hospital. We're in a corridor. Dean's walking out and something white basically like zooms past him.
it. Yeah.
It's and you're wondering what it is. John hasn't seen it, so Dean's like, "Oh, so this is just something that I'm on the same sort of like plane as."
It doesn't.
Right now.
Doesn't someone like collapse or something?
Yeah. So basically, you see the ghost or this white thing run
Right.
past, and then Dean follows it to find this woman collapsed on the ground.
Right.
And so Dean surmises that this thing attacked it. Right. That's
Yeah.
the sort of
Dean thinks
idea.
that he is now in his spirit form, trapped in a hospital with.
Now he's on a hunt.
Now he's hunted.
Yeah. So we go back to John's room. Sam walks in. Dean tries to talk to him again,
And
telling
guess,
him sort of like what's going on.
and guess what Sam's not happy about?
Parenting.
Those
Dad.
those ingredients that John wanted from
Yes.
Bobby, they're not for whatever he said it was, a protection thing or
yeah.
whatever. It's to summon a demon.
Exactly. He tells John he cares more about the demon than helping Dean. John gets mad as well, and Dean's trying to basically like figure out what like to how to stop them, and he ends up like hitting a glass and it like smashes on the ground.
Yeah.
And Dean basically says something along the lines of like, "I full Swayze that mother," which is a reference to the movie Ghost from 1990, in which
Yes, it
Patrick Swayze's ghost character only manages to move something when he gets angry.
Yeah. And I think the show explores that more as we do more ghost episodes too, of
Totally.
like how ghosts can still interact and manifest.
But what's interesting is that Sam and John now are sort of realize that something's going on. Like,
yeah,
whether
but
they can.
Sam and
address
John
it or
are in the
not.
middle of this big argument because Sam's like, "You're going to do some sort of macho showdown with the fucking demon
Yeah.
here in a goddamn hospital."
And as hot as that'll be to watch, that's not what this is about.
Good Lord.
This scene had several things that were interesting to me because that totally Swayze that was a fascinating emotional moment for me. Because if a modern show did that, you would actually audibly be able to hear my eyes roll in the back of my head.
Right.
Yeah, fair.
But like in 2006, that's some fresh stuff. And it was like, oh, Supernatural invented that too.
It's only 16 years later.
Yeah.
It's it's pulling a Buffy in that it's like, what if we sassy said something, but the characters say it with emotion instead of like sassy sociopaths like Joss Whedon likes to write.
Yeah, and like wink at the camera.
Yeah, like what if I said something fun that you get and then pretend like all this is stupid and then act earnest later in a way I didn't earn. But I feel like I'm infuriating Buffy people, but really endearing myself to Supernatural people. And you know what? I'm prepared for that. I feel like they can win this battle.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. It was just like an early taste of the kind of like casual pop culture literacy in a real obvious way. Like he doesn't even say I ghosted that or I did that like that movie Ghost from 1990. Like, and the flip side of that though is like Sam's angry voice he's a real wiener. And again, it might be that I'm just so pro John, but I feel like the whole time, like it's the one failing of this episode is I feel like it's that problem that is so prevalent in storytelling, which is a whole thing problem is solved if one person gives one piece of information to make all of it make sense. And the fact that like two people in a room just never go like, hey, here's what is actually happening, and instead have a totally useless argument just because they won't do this thing that would immediately resolve it.
Supernatural? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, this will not be the last episode that does that. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be Kyle saying this exact same conversation in like a year from now when we bring him back on.
Does Supernatural sell t-shirts that say Jesus get off his dick, Sam?
No, but probably the opposite.
Setting up Richard for success.
This is why we're a team, buddy.
Oh man. So not only does Dean Swayze the glass, but also now the incident in the hallway has got also the attention of John and Sam. I'm pretty sure the person that collapsed out there or whatever.
Well, yeah, because what's also happening is that now Dean's being attacked. So Dean's starting to feel like a pain in his heart, and he goes back to his room, and you can actually see that his heart is stopped in his in the room. Sam's watching from the doorway, tears in his eyes.
Oh yeah, some man tears.
Oh yeah,
some good fucking man tears.
Dean walks up behind him. He sees the same white shape that he had saw in the hallway hovering over his own body. Now he goes to try to grab the thing and is thrown from it. It moves away from his body, and his heart starts again. So now we're seeing a direct connection to like this thing is like killing people.
Yeah,
because we sort of before we'd seen it come into a room and and suddenly that lady is dying. But we didn't actually see the white thing sort of be the one to cause that. So Dean runs out into the hall and looks for the white thing, but it's gone. He goes back and stands next to Sammy and sort of is like, he's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to get that thing. So now we're like fully in the hunt. He reflects that it's some sort of spirit, and if he can grab it, he can kill it, because if it bleeds, it can die. Sam turns and almost looks right at Dean. Suddenly, Dean hears a woman like yelling, saying, "Can you see me? Somebody look at me." So now, which is where we meet this girl, and she introduces her name as Tessa.
Yeah. And she says she's in for some sort of like routine surgery.
An appendectomy.
And she's...
Is that some sort of like cell phone disease? Appendectomy.
Oh, God damn it. That was bad. But yeah, so she's like, I don't know what's happening, blah, blah, blah. They go to Tessa's hotel room. They go to Tessa's hotel room. They go to
see where things go from there.
I mean, she seems to be in the same position as Dean, basically.
this does play into the other thing that I was texting Richard, is that like because the gay subtext of this show is brought to you via the Titanic, just a large mass of it. And this was interesting because I'm curious if this is the theme. Is the theme of the show perpetually trying to give Dean a case of the not gays? Because like the episode theme is like, well, Dean runs into a sexy lady ghost, which he's super interested in helping. Because look at her, man. Yeah, that's what he's thinking about. Chicks, even when he's dead, he still can't get enough. Like,
you can understand why the most fan fiction is gay.
I can't imagine why you would do anything else. Like, you watch this show, and I don't mean in a pejorative way. I think it's really interesting. Like, a way to turn the emotions you have in a high school theater class into 15 seasons of a TV show.
Yeah.
There was the L word, and this is the G word.
It's more like
no. Don't get me started on the L word.
It's the Dean word.
Do you guys know that the L word's last season is a crazy murder mystery?
What, really?
I did know that.
What?
L word's a great show.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
There's a new bondage show called Bonding on Netflix that's basically reminds me a lot of the L word.
Right on.
It's actually pretty decent. We basically, now we've met this woman, and she's sort of like, they have this conversation together of like talking about like an auto body experiences. She asks if maybe Dean's some sort of like new age guy, and he says, "You see me mess around with crystals or listening to Yanni?"
Yeah.
But he's trying to teach her basically about what he knows. Because he thinks that like, oh, I've got a leg up on this lady who just died, and I know all about death. Right. So, or
at least knows enough that like ghosts and stuff exists that it's like, I'll take lead here. Yeah.
So we go to John's room.
Thank you.
Sam is telling John that it felt as if Dean was there, just out of eye shot or something. He asks if that's possible.
I could feel his hands on my body, but not.
Oh, did I send you that script? Or he asks if it's possible. John replies that anything's possible.
Yeah. Sam says that he's going to prove it by like going to get something, and John says, before you go, I promise I won't hunt this demon before you get back.
This is so weird because it's like slow laughing. That was the most disturbing sounding thing I've ever heard. It was you laughing, and it was like,
I don't think I was laughing though. I think that's just on the recording.
Yeah, obviously. No, that was the weird robot audience.
Yeah, it was
that I
like
brought in.
if an angry guitar slowly laughed.
As my guitar gently laughs.
Stop doing jokes.
Well, I'm sorry.
They're not for you. Tell us what happened in the hospital.
Okay, fair. So Sam says there was
robot laughter.
I know, I liked it. It really differentiated between the previous time and now. Sam says there's one way they could find out and starts to leave. John tells them that he won't hunt the demon, not until he knows Dean's okay.
Yeah.
So he leaves, and Dean and Tessa are walking together. He says he's impressed with how well she's taking this whole thing, and that he says she's taking it better than he did. She tells him that she was freaked out at the first time, but knows that like whatever's going on, it's fate. And basically now they're having this whole conversation about sort of like...
And she's like very okay with it. And Dean's like, no, you always got a choice. Like, he's like, look at me. I'm basically dead right now. I'm going to fight this shit to the end.
Yeah, because if there's anything about the Winchesters you can say is that they fight destiny.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, their last name is Winchester?
Yeah, baby.
Like related to the Winchester rifle people, or just as like a fun stylized thing?
I think just as a fun stylized
But they
thing.
do make the connection later on.
Do they?
Yes.
Oh.
Because is there an episode at the Winchester house, I imagine?
You just
that feels like a real season 13 moment.
Just wait and watch.
Just 20 people sitting around a desk. Season 13 scripts start today, and they're just like, man, we have made hundreds of this show already. Where do we go now? Well, we've never gone to the Winchester house, and they gave us a pretty nice offer around season 11, so maybe we take them up on it.
Fair. So
sorry, I can't not think of shows in TV production mode.
It's almost like it's where you were born.
I'm broken inside and can't enjoy things.
basically they're having this whole conversation when suddenly they get interrupted by this doctor running by, which I actually found out his name is Dr. Kripke.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There we go.
So yeah, connection to the writer. They get called to the room 237 for a code blue. Room 237 is significant in The Shining. Yeah. I knew
you went The Shining and I went to TSOL.
Oh, I mean, yeah, all are applicable, but I think they're specifically referencing The Shining because the show loves The Shining in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's true.
So they run after them and come to a room where the
not as
doctors
much love for Jack Grisham, I guess.
Jesus Christ. So the white shape is over her.
Former California governor.
Oh, right.
Jack
Okay.
Grisham.
Jesus Christ. The white thing is touching the face of this woman, and they die. Now Sam is in Dean's room holding a paper bag. He says to Dean that he thinks he's around, and if he is, there's one way they can communicate, and pulls out a Ouija board. Oh my God.
It's fun because you think we're listening.
It's okay. I'm just powering through like I always do.
I'm listening because
Ouija board moment is great.
Dean scoffs at the Ouija board.
It's a cool scene, and I really like the way it was filmed specifically. Yeah. I was watching some.
You mean the most erotic scene in the show is something we all enjoy? Because, like, man, that shit was hot.
It's like they were both there, but not there. They could almost touch each other.
Y-E-S.
I dare someone to not feel their body temperature go up a little bit when they're both touching that planchette together.
If I could only be that planchette.
Oh God,
that was about the time where I was watching. I mean, I thought it from pretty early on, but this was definitely a scene where I'm like, oh, I get it. We want them to kiss.
It's so funny because the show knows that and definitely does reference that later on. So,
which is again one of the many reasons why I'm like very pro this show.
I'm telling you, it is
a coward show would run away, whereas this show's just like, no, we're going to do it because what are we worried that people on the internet are going to be upset about something?
Yeah. If anything, this is going to make them very happy.
Just play into all of it.
Exactly.
They're them and Sonic are the only two people who understand this shit.
Oh no!
I love that episode of Sonic where he gets pregnant.
Well, it's just the two most erotic fandoms.
Yeah.
Supernatural and Sonic.
What's funny is that as they actually filmed this in one shot, and so every time that they would basically go around Sam, to see Sam's front, Jensen had to like get up and run out of the way, and then immediately sit back down as they sort of wiped it around. So we kept having to like get up and.
Oh, that's really cool.
That's funny.
Yeah. That
is a great shot. Like that's a really that whole scene is great. Like it's truly probably the highlight of the episode.
And I like them going back and forth, and Dean's like, "It's a Reaper," and Sam's like, "You can't." He's like, "I know I can't kill a Reaper." And Sam's like, "You're kind of screwed," and he goes, "I know."
Yeah. It's what's interesting is actually like speaking about the filming of this show, I think that the cinematography has always been really, really good. I find that the post editing in the first season can be kind of rough. They're really sort of crushing the blacks too much, and there's way too much saturation. But there's some really great scenes sort of like interspersed. And when they actually have black already there, and they're not trying to do it in post, I find that the cinematography is always incredible and it really shines. Yeah. I think this season they do a way better job.
There's a lot of day for night in season 1.
Yeah, it can be really rough, but when they actually get natural blacks, it's like beautifully shot. And so you can tell that the person who's doing it is like doing an incredible job.
Yeah.
I think his name is.
It's a good looking show.
Yeah, I think it's Surge or something like that. But yeah, no, it's a guy that like is from the industry that does a really good job at like. There's some beautiful stuff in the first season. So
not seeing the first season, I'd be curious just because like their use of really like soft light in a lot of the scenes, and the way that they are using angles in kind of interesting ways. It is kind of refreshing to look at it because like it's not trying to look TV cinematic, which is a thing that I think like was cool and then has in the last decade kind of become a little like done. Yeah. And like this show kind of feels, instead of being like it's trying to be a long movie, which I think is always kind of a lame way to approach TV because it's such different types of storytelling. At the same time, I think like what's cool about this is it's really feels like classical TV elevated, kind of in a similar way to like how The Sopranos operates. Like not quite the same budget level, but I think both those shows work really well because they are never not a TV show, but they are elevating TV and not trying to make TV emulate movies with their visual language. And I really kind of enjoyed that watching it because I didn't expect that.
Yeah, 100%. That, and I remember now it's the light guy that's name is Serge, and he's like, if you look him up, like he's done a ton of like famous lighting and stuff like that. He does a really, really good job in this, but they use light in a really intentional way in this instead of sort of, it's the like Batman animated series thing too, which is like sort of black is the background and you're sort of now pulling things into it rather than pulling black into it, which I love. But yeah, they do a really, really great job with that, and this scene sort of is a good indication of like the great filmmaking from the first 2 seasons. But now we basically we jump to the boiler room.
Well, first Sam goes to, I think, tell John, I guess, that he's communicating with Dean, and John's not in his room. Sam goes to try to tell Dean that's happened, and
everybody's gone.
One of the all-time great visual consensus is running into a hospital room and the hospital bed that's supposed to be full is empty. Like I'm never not amused by that as a trope in something. That just needed the wind sound to have flown through the room for it to be truly complete.
Yeah, you know, you see the window open and the like for some reason there's drapes in the hospital room and those.
It would have been better if John like put a pillow under the blanket or something.
With a little tape recorder, like a Talkboy tape recorder with like fake sleeping sounds, like he's
the Ferris Bueller thing.
There's a cardboard guy behind the blinds who's like moving.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And periodically you just hear, "Sons, I'm disappointed in you." They're like, "Well, that's Dad. That's how he sleeps.
He's definitely here." Yeah.
So now we go to the boiler room, and John's downstairs to the boiler room, and he starts to draw a symbol on the floor in chalk. This scene was actually filmed on Jared's real birthday, July 19th.
Ooh. Nice.
It's information. Sam goes back to Dean's room to tell him that he has Dad's journal. Dean thanks him for not giving up on him. Sam goes to the page on Reapers, and they both read it. And when Dean suddenly leaves,
I think Dean gives a son of a bitch here, right? Doesn't he read something? He goes, "Son of a bitch."
Yeah, classic Dean phrase.
Yeah.
Their dad's demon book looks like the menu to a fun restaurant in our town.
What?
Yeah, one of those restaurants with like 60-page menus
and scribbling.
Yes, and it's all hand drawn stuff, and it's scribblings and it's drawings of shit. Like I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, look, they're gonna order the sea monster half cocktail, half fried shrimp appetizer." It's a Bloody Mary with fried shrimp in it. It's delicious.
I mean, I'd eat that.
That does sound good. Put a little bit of clam in there, make it a Caesar.
Yeah,
baby.
Canada.
Look, one day we're gonna have our maybe we'll do it on air on Dr. DC or something. We will do a Caesar versus Bloody Mary drink off, because I want to like a Caesar, but the problem is the Bloody Mary is maybe the only alcoholic beverage I fully enjoy, and so it's tough because I'm like, well, this is good, but I don't feel like I'm getting drunk in the morning in an airport.
Wow, I mean, that episode would just be like the holidays at my house as a kid. I think everybody starts fighting, and by the end of it, we're all just drunk.
I think we've now officially pitched the live This Is Rad Canadian Boys show is the Bloody Mary Caesar drink off. Yeah,
I mean, that sounds lovely, and so I'll as soon as I'm allowed to fly a plane, we'll just get up there and get drunk in the snow.
Love that.
It's that the good, the rad, and the polite and slightly perturbed.
Yes, that's how I always describe you, as polite and slightly perturbed, not the good, the bad, and the filth machines from up north.
Yeah, baby. So we go to Tessa's room again. Dean goes down the hall and comes to Tessa's room, and it is.
What if nerds had a morning zoo show? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you that time.
Yeah, what if the meme boys were raised in nice homes?
Yeah. It's so Dean goes back to Tessa's room and basically confronts her and says, I just learned the damnedest thing, like how a Reaper can change how you see things.
And now she's got that lighting change, right? Before you've
Yeah.
always seen her sort of in full light, and now she's sort of just got a bit of like this mysterious lighting of like dashed across her face, but she's like enveloped in darkness.
And Tess is a Reaper.
Yeah.
She's the Reaper there for Dean.
Tessa is the first Reaper seen in Supernatural in human form as well.
Yes.
The first time that Reaper is shown was in the episode Faith, and the Greek meaning of the name Tessa is Reaper.
Well, there you go.
Look at that.
But yeah, I mean, she's there, and I mean, she kind of just even describes her own job as like, I don't just come and touch you on the shoulder and then you're dead and I drag you to where you're going.
Yeah.
I have to make you accept it. I have to get you ready to move on.
And you saw my true
That's-
form and freaked the fuck out.
Yeah, so that's part of the gig, right? I need you to accept it. And then
Let me bring us full circle. Very, very similar and clearly inspired by Death from the Sandman.
Yeah.
That was all I was thinking watching the episode. It was like, oh, they're going full game in here.
They
Yeah,
are huge
absolutely.
comic book fans, without a doubt. I mean, the more you watch the show, the more you're like, oh, literally, like that's how I got Reed into the show. Was like every single episode of Dr. DC. I'm like, for the first 3 years, however long we've been doing that show,
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, that's like Supernatural. They do the thing.
It's true.
I think it's agreed. We should bring the show back and I should write for it.
Yes. Yeah, that seems.
I want a writer's
reasonable.
room where they're like, let's pull some like mid-tier cuts from Neil Gaiman into this show. Because you know what I say in other rooms? They're like, get out of here, nerd.
And in that room, they're like, again, I guess.
Yeah, like we kind of already did that. You're like,
I was like, all right, then let's just order lunch and do it anyways.
Yeah. Chipotle will fix this. So now we go back to the hospital boiler room. John is chanting in Latin. He performs a ritual summoned by the yellow-eyed demon. He finishes, stands up, looking around, and the demon comes in, possessing a worker.
yeah.
John
You can't be in here. We got to take you to security.
Yeah. And then the music goes.
Why is it always porn with you?
Just when it takes it to security, we all know what that means.
Oh no. You watch a lot of those like shoplifters get caught porn videos.
You mean talking about the?
But that's
real-
just because he enjoys the dark power of capitalism.
I mean, that also is just true. That's just a true fact.
Wow.
So the John aims the Colt at him. Two other possessed doctors come in as well. The demon says that he's surprised John summoned him,
Yeah.
as he didn't take John as suicidal.
Yeah, and John says like I'm not going to shoot you. I want to make a deal.
Holy shit!
Oh shit.
This was meant to be the actor Frederick Lane's only appearance as Azazel due to the character's habit of changing hosts, but the audience reaction was so positive that he was brought back.
He is so good, and he does a good job of taking the mannerisms that
Jack
like
Nicholson Shining sort of thing that.
because the first time we meet Azazel, it's
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan being possessed. So this actor does such a good job of taking on those mannerisms and then just being Azazel moving forward.
I mean, this actor is awesome. I mean, Kyle would probably know him at least from Lost because
Yeah.
he was the whatever the fucking police officer guy
yeah.
from the first
Wait.
season.
Wait, what?
That Kate gets taken.
Oh,
by.
wait.
Oh.
Yes.
don't know what the American
air
term is.
marshal.
That's
he's
the
in.
one.
He's in. Like I think 2 episodes of Lost early on.
Yeah, he dies like in the 3rd episode or something.
He dies in the crash. I want to say.
No, because remember
Oh,
they're-
that's right. Yes. No. Yeah. It's all coming.
Is
back
he the
now.
guy they're trying to keep alive?
Yes,
that
yes. I only know this because
Jack
I
has to
literally-
do the blood transfusion.
I just started
stuff?
watching season 1 again the last few days, so I've
Okay. My brother did a rewatch at some point. Like I just don't know that I have it in me to go back on that journey again. Like
I mean, I get it.
Not in like a bad way, but just it's the same way like with Battlestar or any of the things I've lived real hard in. I'm just like, it's like the idea of like, I feel like I look at TV seasons instead of going like, I want to see all my friends again. I sort of look at it and go like, it's like an old relationship. Like there's happy memories, there's bad memories. You're in a different place. They're in a different place. Like maybe you can like run into Lost like on the street, or like you both have a mutual friend, but like I don't know that I'm gonna go get lunch with Lost, even though like I have nothing but good feelings for it.
Yeah,
It's one of those shows that was an experience. Like I can't watch Game of Thrones again because I'm like, that was an experience that
Yeah.
that like like I can't recreate those feelings again.
Yeah, exactly.
We were different people back then. I can't recreate those emotions.
No, certainly not.
I literally have a bit about this that's on my weird like conventions only bits. I'm thinking about trying it when the world opens back up, but like about people who love Firefly too much because it's like you still holding a candle for like the girl you had a summer romance with when you were 16. Like it's great and that memory will always be there, but you got to move on because that's not a realistic thing to pine for.
Yeah. Also, you can't look at her. You can't look at her again because she's gonna look way different now than she did back then. It's important to just like have her remember of what she was when she was there.
Yeah, you don't want to bring that back because there's no version of that that's gonna like make you more happy than the not having information you have now. Again, my joke is always versus Battlestar, where it was 4 years of your life. It took a lot out of you. Sometimes you fucking hated it, but like it made you who you are today.
100%.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel very similar with Merlin. Merlin really fucked me at the end, but God, that was fun.
I didn't know that was a show until right now.
It's a really good show.
Oh God, please don't get him on fucking Merlin.
It's a really good show. It's a lot of fun. It takes like the Buffy thing. Okay, anyways, look, it's a lot of fun. It's if you're looking for something very lighthearted but does the sort of monster of the week thing, it's charming and British. It's great. Anyways, Dean's room, where Sam is talking to Dean in his room. He tells him he couldn't find anything in the book and he doesn't know how to help him. He says he'll keep trying and fighting as long as he can. Dean says, hold on, he can't go now. They were just starting to be brothers again. Oh my God. At Tessa's room, Dean is asking Tessa to make an exception for him. He tells him that his family is in danger, says they need him. They basically are going back and forth and he's like, I can't leave right now. Like there's no way.
She's trying everything with him. She's like,
she's
like, you had an honorable death, a warrior's death. She's trying to frame it any way she can to get him to be okay with it. And he's like, it's not good enough. Like if something could happen to Sam. Like, no, I'm not doing it.
Throw this out. Mm-hmm. I am 100% sure that this scene of Death and Dean going back and forth about this has been redone by so many duos in community college theater rooms.
Oh yeah.
It has every hallmark of a good let's recreate, the same way that like the Grant Morrison Animal Man scene is a real similar one.
Yeah.
But just that thing of like, oh, you and I both like Supernatural and we're in a theater class and we're 19. Let's do that scene.
Yeah, that I could see that.
Are you telling me that theater kids might be into the show Supernatural? I feel
but again, I don't say that pejoratively. Like if I were that age and into this show, I'd be like, this is the greatest moment ever.
Which is funny because again, this fact comes up.
If I had gotten into this show when I was in theater school,
this is
that's the reason I clock it. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the moment.
This is Rocky Horror Picture Show, like for a new generation.
But it's just like I totally would have done. I would have been that asshole in that theater class.
Oh yeah, and I almost think it's less Rocky Horror and feels more Edward Scissorhands.
Fair, yeah. Like,
because it's a different kind of sexuality from Rocky Horror. It has that sort of like level of sort of like reserved, like you're never going to see what you want to see, but inside you're yearning for it anyways, kind of way.
Yeah. Instead, you have to watch Edward Penis Hands, which is a real movie.
Jesus.
The scene when the snow falls down, it's what you think it is.
Snow?
Yeah, buddy.
Good. Is Anthony Michael Hall in that too?
Yeah, surprisingly, they couldn't find anything else for him to do.
He's the newscaster in Dark Knight. We should never forget that.
That's true, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Also, like 25 seasons of The Dead Zone, a show I assume you guys will do when this podcast ends in 300 and something episodes.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah, only 6 years from now.
I do want to say that in this scene, we get a very important little piece of information that we may have suspected, but it is confirmed for us, where Dean says it's not going to happen. And then Tessa says, you can come with me or not, but either way, you're not getting back in your body. You're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she said, you could just linger here. And we're like, oh, yeah, ghosts, right? Not everyone gets
exactly
to move on right away. We've encountered ghosts. We know that they're stuck. Like, we've seen that in season 1, but we're seeing it from the other side that, like, there's almost this, like, bureaucracy to souls.
I love that shit.
Yeah.
Maybe it's from being obsessed with Beetlejuice as a kid, but, like, the bureaucracy of being dead is my jam. So when they started to get into this and she explained how, like, angry souls happen, I was like, oh, I am so on board right now.
It's what sells me on the good place. Like it's just I love that idea.
It's a really good moment. And it's also fucking terrifying. You know, because Dean is basically, it's not just like, do you die or do you stay alive? Because that's like, yeah, stay alive. It's do you die or do you waste away as a lost soul?
Fighting.
He goes, I'll be a lost soul, but I'm not going to go crazy. I'm going to get back in my goddamn body.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's a goddamn Winchester. So we go now back to the boiler room, and basically the demon and Dean have the sort of a what?
Demon and John.
So, yeah, the demon and John have the arrangement that they're going to trade the Colt for Dean to go back in his body, and the demon essentially says like, okay, but I want more than the Colt. So I want something that's even more, maybe more valuable than the Colt.
Yeah.
That's when the porn guitar starts.
You just hear zip.
Yeah. That's all the cash I have.
Oh, no. Oh, no. We go back to Tessa's room, and they're basically starting with the final conversation. You almost feel like maybe Dean will make the decision. What?
I almost called it the brown-eyed demon.
You are my brown-eyed demon.
Sorry.
Making deals in the basement.
I mean,
my son Sam's back.
I mean, in both ways, he's making deals in the basement.
I feel like this is a fascinating thing because like the show has all this subtext, but you guys are like, but we got to get it everywhere.
Are you trying to say that we're not subtle?
Yeah, no. It's too cold for subtext up here. We're only text.
Yeah. So you almost feel like Dean's actually going to make the decision to go.
Yeah.
And just as that happens, the lights start flickering. Dean's like, what's going on? And Tessa's like, I actually don't know. This isn't me. Like, I'm not involved with that. And you see suddenly this black smoke shove inside of a Reaper, which to this point you were like, I thought demons can only possess fucking humans.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's fucked up. But
Crazy.
Technically, there's a human form. I don't think she's actually taking over a human body. It's actually going inside of a Reaper.
It's going into the Reaper.
It's fucked up. It's real messed up.
The Reaper. No, it didn't pay. I thought it would be played better.
No, it's okay.
Sometimes mid-bit, it's no good.
Oh, you can know a bit's not good? Oh, no. She screams in anger, says, like, you can't do this. But suddenly the Reaper's got yellow eyes.
Yeah.
And it says, like, today's your lucky day, kid. Puts his hand on Dean's forehead, and suddenly we're back inside Dean's room. He's sitting up. The doctor's telling everybody that, like, everything seems to be suddenly healed. Everything seems to be fine. Dean asks Sam what happened. Like, did he do something? Nobody really knows what happens. And Big Daddy comes through the door.
Yeah.
And asks how he's feeling. He seems like not surprised. Like he's not like, what the fuck's going on? He's just like, he seems like knowingly prepared for the moment.
Yeah, I think he's got a bit in there too that kind of addresses what Kyle was talking about, where Sam is ready to be like, where were you last night? All this kind of stuff. And he's like, can we just not fight? Like,
I love it. That was my favorite moment in the episode.
I sometimes don't even know why we're fighting. I just want us to have a moment where we're not.
He's such a grown-up in that moment, and I love it because he's saying things that, like, I feel like so often when I watch them, like, just tell them to calm down. Like, they have no, outside of the script motivating them to, if the character said, why are you so mad right now, they would not know. Yeah. And so I kind of love that the show, like, just his character's like, hey, man, bring it down like 5 pegs right now because, like, we don't, stop it. Knock that shit off.
And I mean, you finally sort of get the moment where he's just like, hey, like he doesn't actually say it, but he basically says like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He goes to Sam and he's just like, hey, like I'm just a little tired, which I'm like, yeah, you're Jeffrey and Morgan. Of course you're a little tired.
Yeah. So tough too. Yeah. Tough and tired.
And he asks Sam to go get him some coffee. Sam leaves and he
asks him to get him a cup of caffeine.
Yeah, the weirdest
Which made me hope he was coming back with.
Is that what he says? Is that what he says?
Yeah.
Why don't you go get me a cup of caffeine? I gotta tell your brother the secrets about you before I die.
Yeah. Either either a like all black cup of coffee or a code red, whichever is cheaper. I'll get that.
You give me one of
If
those
they happen to
5-hour
have gamer
energies.
fuel, grab 2.
Is there a surge?
Yeah.
I need the COD points.
Yeah. It's really funny. So as he's gone, John basically and Dean have this conversation of going like, you know, like I was a bad parent to you. Like you grew up too fast. Like everything Dean's ever wanted him to basically say. And Dean is like, is this even you? Like, because it feels like it feels like a demon again. Like
His kids have no ability to read situations at all because it's clearly the talk of someone talking to their child when they know they're dying. And so it's just so funny. Like, why are you doing this? And you just have them go, I wish you guys weren't 13, like emotionally, because I'm trying to have a nice moment before I die forever. But I guess go ahead and just be a dick about it.
And he says like, look after Sammy, and then he whispers something to Dean.
yeah, and we have no idea.
And we don't know what it is. And Sam comes back and he's like, they didn't have code red, but I did find. And then he's like, what? And
John's
shot is great.
Yeah.
And when you stay on the puddle as it's spreading out as he runs to his dad, I was like, that's like an above and beyond shot. They did not have to put that camera that low, and they really do a great job.
That was the third shot they did. Basically, the coffee cup drops and doesn't tip over. Like that was all a single shot where that drops perfectly, lands straight, and then he runs over, and you can see him sort of like in the like just off focus. Like
truly a fantastic shot.
Yeah,
it's so simple. Like it's not like we built a CGI camera that flew over the battlefield. It's like a guy dropped a cup and was sad about his dad, and it's incredibly emotionally compelling because they earn it.
Yeah, and you hear and unlike like shows, if you don't hear they're dead, then they're not dead. You actually hear the doctor say time of death 10:41 a.m. 10:41 a.m. The time of his death is a reference to Isaiah 4:41:10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not dismay, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand.
That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard you say.
What? Not here's this art I got made for you.
Figures it was written by someone else.
Yeah. So this is also the just as we're sort of walking away from this episode, this is technically the second time that Dean should have died already in season 2, twice.
Yeah, because he gets the electrocuted in the episode before. Yeah,
exactly. So, and that is the end.
Holy shit!
Season 2, episode 1.
So we've covered so many different like aspects, things that we are both like frustrating and good about the show and about this episode. Some kind of wrap up final thoughts and a score out of 5.
Kyle, you are our guest.
Kyle, you're the guest.
Begin with you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5.
Wow,
I really enjoyed this. Am I gonna run out and watch just of my own volition? No, but like that's not testament against the show.
that's what I said too.
Yeah,
but now I'm in the game, baby.
Well, the key is you got to not to commit to a podcast about it. I really feel like that was your flaw. I mean, I imagine maybe the first 6 or 7 episodes you can get by not watching the show, but about around 8, I feel like Richard would have caught on to your plan.
Oh no, the thing is I watched the full show and then Richard was like, can we do the podcast? And I was like, yeah.
I got him to watch 2 episodes, then he watched the entire thing in 3 months.
I watched all of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then we decided to do this.
I thought it was cool. I thought it was interesting because I could see how when you're watching the show in real time, that ending is probably like a banger.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, oh,
huge.
snap. Like, because I assume Dad has been in the whole series so far.
He jumps in and out. Yeah.
He's been,
okay, so he is a running guest.
He's been a presence.
Yeah.
Like the whole impetus of the first season is we got to find Dad. He went missing, and then he bombs in for a couple of episodes, and then he's in like the last 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Like they're together. Okay. So it kind of feels like that's the show now. Yeah.
And so losing him, like you can kind of see like that it's this seismic shift. And so but I said to Richard, the thing that I really appreciated about this episode is that it's opens and closes on being a season premiere. It is a dramatic thing being resolved at the beginning. There's a dramatic moment in the end. In the middle, it is like, bro, we are a Monster of the Week show and we will not be stopped because of some car accident. And so like I kind of love the confidence in itself that it is not willing to compromise what the show is about in order to like build drama, which is the thing that I think a lot of TV shows now do pretty regularly, is sort of sell out the core concept to like zhuzh it up and make it seem more intense. I like that this show is confident enough to go like, look, we understand that we are operating under many TV conventions. Instead of fighting that, we will embrace them and just make it as entertaining as possible. And then at the end, we're going to give you a little something to like step things up. And I almost feel like disarming you by making you think like, okay, like he's not going to die. He's going to get out of this. It's an episode of Supernatural. And like, to me, it's pretty clear that like what the dad's going to do the entire time. But again, like I'm not like a 16-year-old watching this, you know, in real time. You know, if you're not a, you know, person who can't not think about like what the writing angles are on it, it's, you know, a little more what he's going to do and stuff like that. But I was genuinely impressed just by the level of quality across the board on the show. I was expecting something a lot dumber and more low rent, no offense. But like, and was
from us, you were expecting that from us.
And you know, already knowing that I am a supporter of those other shows, you know, that CW has gone on to do, really appreciating how much of all of that kind of television is, you know, embedded in what this show was doing, I thought was profoundly interesting. And again, the level of confidence, even in a second season, that they have is really amiable. Like very much felt like something where I was like, oh man, they're doing really good work on this show. And I now feel like, and I also feel like I very much get why like Laura and my girlfriend and Richard, like that there's definitely a personality type that this show jumps out at and goes like, hey, are you like a little frightened and a little horny? You want a show that's going to make you feel better about both?
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great. 5 out of 5. Great episode.
Wow. You know what? I think I'm doing it too.
Wow.
I'm going 5 reaped souls out of 5, baby.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
For all of the reasons stated above, like it actually is just a weirdly perfect episode. Yeah. High emotional stakes, great monster of the week, great philosophy kind of on death and stuff like that. Just insanely well shot.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Yeah. It's a perfect episode.
The episode also doesn't end going like, you better come back next week to find out what might happen. Here's the big cliffhanger. It's like, oh no, the thing happened. You're going to come back next week because you're invested. And that when I try to explain to people like my issues with modern television, I hate the bait and switch constant zeal. I feel like most TV shows, whether they are good or not, I cannot enjoy the like condo salesman storytelling format that is so popular in modern storytelling, because I feel like I'm signed up for a cool premise and then I'm just sitting in a timeshare meeting being assured we will get to the fireworks factory at some point. And then the series ends and the last episode was like, you didn't even want to see the fireworks factory. And I'm like, no, I did. I signed up for that. That's what I wanted out of this. And
the fireworks factory was the friends we made along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But whereas instead, like watching this, like he's dead, he's back, like where do we go from here? And I'm just like, oh, I would love to show up next week to see where the adventures go, because like I enjoy the series and not because I'm being bullied into watching the next episode by exploitative TV practices.
And they don't have the cult, like in a way they've kind of just
new season.
They sort of just reset the show without feeling like they erased everything. Like
this show,
it's great.
100%. Fully agreed.
Constantly jumps the shark. It's a thing that I'm always talking about, because they're constantly putting you're in a position where you're like, well, I mean, how can it get better than this? And it's never gigantic fights. If anything, they really stay away from that. But it's like the stakes are constantly being brought up, or they go, well, now there's nothing they can do. Like, how do you go on from here? And I think this show does always a really great job of that, where the stakes always feel high. You always feel satisfied at the end of it.
Yeah,
you got everything that you wanted from it. And this is it's a great first episode of a second season to go, hey, we proved it through all of the tests were proven correct from the first season. Now let's actually sort of turn this into the show that it's going to be, which is
absolutely.
It's like these are true emotional stakes. We're still paying homage to like classic horror and ghost stuff, but we're gonna bring in our own sort of overarching story. And
it's like they pulled the scaffolding off. And now it's like ready to run.
100%. And I think the first season does a great job of like each thing is encapsulated in itself. And they sort of, it's all just sort of testing the model and seeing what works. And this is now it's like, okay, I think we figured it out. And and as this season goes on, they really sort of perfect the finer details of what that is and sort of make it this like giant smoothie of like funny and dramatic and metatextual and like over and over and over again. And I think this is the perfect way to sort of begin this season, which is it feels like a finale, but it's not. It's the beginning. So yeah, I mean, 5 out of 5 perfectly dropped coffee cups.
Ooh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I hope you guys have me on as it goes along, because this might be kind of fun to just like be involved in randomly selected episodes to sort of like get a feel like I'm the bellwether who has no investment in this, and so I can honestly judge it. And so far, aggressively impressed. So much I figured I'd sort of come into this, say a couple of yucks and get out. I was not expecting to be genuinely impressed at the quality of the series, which is quite high.
That's what Supernatural does. They used to advertise the show as Hot Guys Hot Show. I mean, they do everything in their power to make you not think that it is the quality it is. So I constantly surprising me. Kyle, thank you so much for coming on the show. Tell everybody where to listen to you, because it actually matters in this one. There's people who may not be fans already.
So I'll do sort of a good starter run. I have my main podcast, a show called This Is Rad, where we have people come on every week and talk about something they enjoy. We started it many years ago because the time I started, I feel like every podcast was just dunking on things and saying they were kind of dumb. And I was like, what if we got to know people through things they liked? Because I feel like that's a good jumping on point. It has enthusiasm. And so we've done that. It covers the globe. We're trying to make them shorter. So if you are new and you see stuff that's 3 hours, just know we're trying to get them back down to a more manageable run. During COVID, everybody just wants to keep talking because we're talking to people. And so, my show, This Is Rad, I started a few years ago, a sideshow. I adore horror. And I also adore my friendship with my friend Jen Saunderson, who's another comedian who's a big movie buff and horror nerd. And so we decided to turn our friendship into a podcast. I imagine you guys know nothing about this.
No, I don't
and
we turned a podcast into a friendship.
True.
And so we started a show called Everything is Scary. In its current form, since COVID began, we are kind of a movie book club where we put out what the next episode's going to be, and then we do a little review of them. We just did one for La Casa Lobo, which is a movie on Shudder right now that is maybe one of the craziest things I've ever seen, but also one of the best movies I've ever seen. That thing's wild. But so that's a lot of fun. And then the other thing I'll throw out is I run a record label called Bradland Records because I've self-released all my stand-up records and decided I had the skill set that I could help other people to do that as well. Because I think that like pulling the elements that are scary to people, trying to make their art and make it a more approachable thing is really important to me, because I've grown up in DIY because I guess I'm not hireable. So I just had to make myself hireable to myself. And so I have an album called Absolute Terror that came out 2 years ago now. I recorded in Atlanta, and I'm really, really proud of it. I really enjoy, if you like fun, dark stories about family, not in like terrifying ways, but just in like, I got some crazy relatives and some fun things on there. So I'm very proud of that, how that record went and what it kind of turned into with the label. So This Is Rad, Everything's Scary, and my comedy album, to Absolute Terror. I almost forgot the name of my own record.
I've never heard
Richard did the cover for it, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I've never heard you put all of those together at the same time, and I'm just realizing that a lot of your brand is things are good, some things are scary, but I'm here to help you make it better.
Yes, it's I see you've seen through the thing. Because yes, it's actually funny. This isn't out yet, so this isn't a plug. It's just more appreciation of Supernatural. I think one of the reasons I enjoy the self-contained episode, I have started a comic that is going to be out this spring called Tales from an Analog Future.
Awesome.
And one of my big things with that was self-contained issues, because I think like decompressed storytelling is really kind of like cheapened long form storytelling in a way that I think is like not great for like where narrative is at in kind of pop culture. And so I think that like I'm going to sound like a real douche, but I've been calling it story punk, where it's like everything is like in the 70s where it was all noodly guitar solos and long synth lines, like, and everybody brought it back to 3-minute songs, verse, chorus, get out, no solos. And like, I feel like I'm trying to bring that to storytelling, because like everything's now like after 10 hours, the story gets interesting. I'm like, oh no, we're not doing that. I'm dying. So I need you to speed that up. Give me an hour and make it compelling because that's good storytelling. And so I've been kind of into that and watching shows like Supernatural or X-Files, like, and things like, or even Buffy, like, where it's like, look, in one episode we told a complete story and we're not bullying you to come back. We're expecting you to come back because you enjoyed the content of our show. And my comic has been that. So I think like writing that and realizing how both difficult and satisfying that is, I think really prepared me to dig on Supernatural. So I think that like writing that definitely like helped me get in the mindset to appreciate this show. So even though you can't do anything about my book, Tales from the Analog Future, because it's not out yet, I can definitely see like some of the DNA of Supernatural being the kind of thing that's an influence on it. So
I love that. That's
just
amazing.
a little more props.
I can't imagine anybody else being our first guest on this podcast.
Am I the first guest?
Yeah, we're doing it. We're bringing in guests now for season 2.
Okay.
So it couldn't have happened with anybody else. We're so happy that you
honored.
came.
Yeah, thank you.
If you want to reach out to us, you can do it through email.
Ghostfacers
Clark is rad on Twitter and
yeah.
Instagram, by the way, in case people want to talk about Supernatural or recommend other episodes you think I'd be good on, so we can bully Reed and Richard together.
Ghostfacers podcast. Ghostfacers podcast at gmail.com.
Listen to our other podcasts about comic books.
Yeah, the Dr. DC podcast. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks so much again, Kyle. We'll
Thanks
talk
for
to
having
you
me. This was a delight.
Say goodbye, bitch.
Jerk.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.